I believe you're alive, right, John?
Still waiting for it on the unHangout page. It says it's syncing. It's live for Bud. Okay, we are live.
Great. Welcome, everyone, to Connected Learning TV. Today is April 29th, 2014, and we are logging in here for the wrap-up event for our month-long series that's been titled Equity and Learning in the 21st Century Classroom: Explore, Connect, Transform. We've been meeting here at Connected Learning TV every Tuesday to explore issues of equity and learning in the 21st century classroom. And I'm here with my colleagues from many who were involved in as authors or editors of an e-book that just came out called Teaching in the Connected Learning Classroom. And it's this book that inspired the series that we are coming together to help wrap up today. I'm Christina Cantrell. I work with the National Writing Project. The National Writing Project was the publisher of the ebook with the Digital Media and Learning Hub. So you should check out the ebook. It's free, downloadable, Teaching in the Connected Learning Classroom, and we'll put a link in the chat. And today, you might have noticed this is not your typical Connected Learning TV webinar, but instead is an unHangout. And so we're really excited that you've come to join us today. unHangouts are a tool created by the MIT Media Lab to support both doing a webinar and then having smaller breakout groups related to that webinar. So we will kick off the webinar here for the first about 15 minutes and just sort of introduce our range of topics. And then we're all going to break into smaller groups and we'll support each other along the way. So we're really excited that you came to play with us today in this forum and to help us sort of unpack and think about the series that we just ran. Even if you haven't been to the series, that's great. We're really excited that you're here to talk to us about equity and learning in the 21st century classroom, even so. So if you want to introduce yourselves, if you look in the, you should be watching us from the lobby, is what it's called in an unHangout. And you're welcome to introduce yourself in the chat that is connected to that lobby. We also want to ask you, put forward a call to action, and if you are on Twitter or want to push out to social media, just send this the link that John will share in the lobby chat, and you can share that over social media, and people can join us right this moment. So encourage people to join us. We have space and we have room to include more people. You can also join us in the Connected Learning Google community, which John will also put a link to. John is the Connected Learning Alliance person here, if that seemed mysterious. And you can also tweet during this unHangout or anything you want to share as we're going along to Connected Learning TV. Throughout this month, or the hashtag, I'm sorry, Connected Learning TV. Throughout this month, we also started another hashtag, which I'd encourage you to visit and also to post to. And this hashtag was called Where We Learn. And the goal of that was really to, Teaching in the Connected Learning Classroom is very committed to looking at how youth and adults are learning together between the hours of 9 to 3. But we know we learn in many, many spaces. Actually, one of the students who joined us, Taylor from New Tech at Koppel, at one of our webinars, when she was asked about where we learn, she said, well, we learn everywhere, no matter where we are, if you actually think about it. So that's sort of what inspired the Where We Learn hashtag, that idea. And we really want to keep our our ideas open about the places and spaces where we learn, and we learn together. So, great. I was going to, you know, one of the places where we've been learning, just to pick up on that theme, has been this webinar series over the last month. And the webinar series was organized by Nicole Mira and Antero Garcia, who are here in the Hangout with me today too. And we really had a chance to think about some of the themes and invite guests and authors and editors from the book to really talk about some cross-cutting themes that we saw in the Teaching and Connected Learning Classroom book. And now I'm really curious to hear from them some of the things that stood out to them from this series. So if I could prompt either one of you to click in first and share some of the things that stood out for you.
Sure, I'll start us off.
Thanks.
I was thinking about, if you haven't seen the month of webinars, they're all archived now at the Connected Learning TV site, and I really encourage everyone to go back and take a look at them, because as I reviewed them, it really is an amazing month of thought that went on there. And when I think about the main takeaways that I had, first was this idea of what connected learning is and what it means to be connected. Bud Hunt, who's also here and is one of the editors, it always rings in my mind when he says that digital media and the tools and the flashy lights, all the digital stuff is not what makes it connected learning. And I think that the webinars really showed that being connected is about the people, and that the digital media is just a tool that enables people to do the connecting. That's the real work. And I was thinking even about the webinar we had last week talking about civic engagement. I don't think we even got to talking about the digital tools until well into the webinar, because we were so excited about discussing what it really meant for teachers to be connected to each other and connected to students, and to have students connected to the community. So I feel like that's a really important point to keep on bringing up, that connected learning is simply a way for us to talk about what we already know is good pedagogy and good community building, and it's just giving us new ways to do that. So I thought that was really exciting to see throughout all of the webinars. And the second thing that I really took away is just the level of respect and caring that came through for young people throughout all the webinars. I think that, you know, as you said, we were lucky enough to have young people as part of 2 of our webinars, and in the other ones, we had Danielle and others sharing work that they've done with students, and I feel like it was really powerful to see the way that what students are interested in and who they are as young people is really coming through in teachers' work, and it's being used as a jumping off point for doing some amazing, innovative work. So I'm really excited to continue that conversation today.
And just building off of what Nicole was saying, I think the series of webinars helped kind of name what connected learning can be within classrooms. And so I want to emphasize the political nature of what we're doing, and I do that with my class of students behind me. So they're back here demonstrating good classroom management for me. Way to go. And so what I want to highlight is the political nature of what connected learning means in this time and place of the teaching profession, right? As we think about the ways that teacher preparation programs are being challenged, the ways that the teachers' practices are being challenged, I think this demonstrates that there's no right way to demonstrate connected learning in classrooms, right? And both the webinar and the book have helped us put faces to names of different types of practices. And in particular, that youth are equal collaborators in this process, right? The young people that we heard from Janelle's students, from Minu's students, really helped demonstrate the powerful practices that young people have as political agents in defining a professional world of education. And speaking of Janelle's students, they gave me a trust card, which I have with me, and they also sent one to my dog, and she just kind of smells it. She doesn't do as much with it as I hoped she would. And then the last thing, also kind of piggybacking off of the work that Bud did in his chapter and in his webinar, I want to think about the ways that networks aren't about these digital devices, which Nicole mentioned. That networks really are about these shifting relationships and trust and working with others, with peers, to open up a world of opportunity for educators around us. And I think these are really powerful examples that I was able to engage in conversation with over the month, and I'm really excited to hear from everybody in this unHangout today. So thanks.
Great, super. Thank you. I think that was a beautiful view into some of the things that I think really resonate through those series. And I also had an opportunity to look back at them over this last week. And so I do encourage everybody else to take a look at the archives. And we'd love this to be a continuing discussion, and would invite you to share any thoughts, questions, or ideas that you have. Actually, at digitalis.nwp.org is one place where you may share them, because it's an open website and you could contribute to this as an ongoing conversation. So towards further discussing these issues that have come up and these great ideas, I want to invite the folks who are in this chat. Everybody else has their names highlighted except for me, which is awesome. But I wanted to, everybody's going to run a Hangout or two who's on this chat, so I was wondering if everybody could tell us a little bit about the small discussion that you've volunteered to facilitate, so we thank you very much for doing that. And as you do that, if you can introduce yourself too. So Janelle, do you want to start us off on that one? Janelle.
Sure. Hi, I'm Janelle Bentz. I'm a Global Issues Facilitator, the English one part, at New Tech High at Coppell. And the unHangout I will be facilitating will be about designing connected learning experiences and how can we make sure that standards are addressed and it's still rigorous while ensuring that those connected learning elements are still present.
Thanks, Janelle. Cindy, do you want to? You're going to be either co-facilitating or running another room of the same nature, right? Do you want to?
That's right. I'm Cindy O'Donnell Allen from Colorado State University. I teach with Ontario there, and I'm also the director of the CSU Writing Project, and I'm going to hang out with Janelle.
Great. Thank you. Okay, the next on my list, Jason, do you want to introduce us and the work that you're going to be doing with Bud?
Yeah, hey everybody, Jason Sellers. I work at the French American International School in San Francisco. Also the technology liaison for the Bay Area Writing Project. And in our section we're going to be talking about how teachers can join digital networks of other educators, how you can find digital resources in particular subject areas, and how you can help young people connect with their peers and with other people through these open digital communities. Super.
Bud, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Bud Hunt, Instructional Technology Coordinator in Northern Colorado, and I'll be in that conversation with Jason.
Excellent. And then Nicole and Danielle.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole. Danielle and I are going to be working with folks that want to learn more about how to connect what they do with young people, no matter where you work, in the classroom or anywhere else, with the larger community, and how to think about civic education.
Yep, and I'll be joining her. I'm Danielle Filipiak, and I'm here at Teachers College at Columbia University. And we're going to have an awesome time.
Yay, great. Your thing says teachers, Danielle, so I'm glad you clarified.
Oh, great.
And then here in the main Hangout, just to say, I'm going to be here hanging out with John Baraloni, and we're going to be discussing, oh, John Baraloni, I'm sorry, is the Connected Learning Alliance image there. And we're going to be discussing the Connected Learning Alliance if anybody wants to learn a bit more about that. And we could also talk about this unHangout tool, too, if people want to talk about that. So there are 4 options, it seems. And Nicole, do you want to sort of help us transition into these options?
Sure. So you're going to start seeing our faces drop out of this particular Hangout because everyone here in this Hangout will be leaving and heading into the unHangout where the rooms are open. So we're going to let our presenters get into their rooms first just to make sure that they don't get locked out. And once all of our presenters get into their rooms, then everyone else can choose which of the 3 Hangouts you'd like to join. If we do find that the Hangouts get full, we'll come back. I'll be jumping back and forth, and I might open another room, depending on which topics are very popular. But we encourage you to take a look at as the rooms fill up and go and talk to somebody maybe that you want to learn more from or a topic you didn't know about yet. So we're going to be in those Hangouts until around 4:40 Eastern Time. And at that time, I know Christina will be reminding us how to get back to the main Hangout.
Yes, I will. There's a way we can ping you to tell you to come back, and I will ping you 5 minutes before was what we were thinking. Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nicole. And you're going to jump out too, right? So see you all soon.
Right.
Have fun.
Hey, Christina.
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, how do I get into my room? I'm.
So are you at this? So you go to this address that I'm going to put in the chat. Do you see that?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And then you should see your room.
Oh, I'm not logged in there. Okay,
Oh,
got it.
yeah, log in. Your G+ will log you in automatically.
Got it. Cool, I think I'm good.
Are you
All
good?
right. Thanks, Christina. Yeah.
Okay.
All
See you
right,
soon. Thanks,
All
Jason.
right, cool.
Okay. Ciao.
Hey, Christina, can you still hear me okay?
I can, yeah. Are
All
we
right.
live or are you on pause?
Well, technically the Hangout's still going for people who are watching on YouTube, but I paused it for everyone in the unHangout just a second, and I'm going to start playing it again right now.
Okay. It looks like the rooms are filling up.
Looks like it.
Tell me when you think we're live.
I think we're good.
Okay. Great. So, hello, everyone. If you're still here in the lobby, John and I. So, John, can you turn your camera off and just say hello to people real fast? Is that possible, or?
Actually, it's just going to be this logo. So, hello,
Oh,
everyone.
okay. That's fine. So, John Barolone, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. This is John Barolone, the person kind of behind ConnectedLearning.tv, the website, and also the Connected Learning TV webinar series. I'm the community manager for the newly formed Connected Learning Alliance. And a quick background on what we're calling the CLA. That's actually a tech-related startup that's spinning out of the Digital Media and Learning Research Hub. The DML Research Hub was responsible for the research behind this vision that we call connected learning that you've all come to know and love so well. And we're actually moving into a bit of a phase 2, kind of taking it out of research and development and moving into more of a scaling and spreading operation. So there are a lot of people and a lot of organizations and projects within the past few years who have been using this connected learning model within their own day-to-day practice, whether it's been within schools or libraries or museums or other spaces. And so what we're focusing on now is supporting these different efforts that have been going on that currently exist, and also new efforts that would like to emulate what's already been going on, or who would like to put their own spin on using connected learning within a learning environment. So that's what the CLA's mission is, and we're actually officially launching tomorrow, Wednesday, April 30th. We'll have our full website up, and I'll make sure to plug that into the lobby chat there. And we're going to have a 30-day social media campaign that we're calling Make learning relevant. It's going to be a combination of a podcast series where we're talking with people from within the Connected Learning Alliance and also some of the bigger names from the digital media and learning community that I think most of you will be familiar with, and also have a lot of very cool, thought-provoking artwork pieces talking about this need for connected learning and, you know, kind of taking education out of the 20th century into the 21st century, getting it an update, and trying to figure out how to make learning feel relevant for young learners and make them figure out, you know, what they're learning in the classroom, how that relates to their real lives, both in the present and future. So hopefully everyone will be looking out for that, and you can follow us again. I'll post a couple links in the lobby chat there, but it's at the CL Alliance on Twitter, and you'll be able to see everything that's going on in that campaign for the next month.
Great. Thanks, John. I have a really important question. Is it CLA 2 A's or 1 A?
CLA, so Connected Learning Alliance.
Okay, excellent. So, yeah, I'm really excited about this work and sort of the manifestation of connected learning in the world. And I do think that I know that here in my hometown of Philadelphia, it's sort of a ongoing conversation. And it's a conversation that seems to, what I'm finding is that it seems to, the connected learning principles, I think we've noticed this at the writing project, and then I'm noticing it in my hometown, is that it provides some ways for people to have conversations across, what would be sort of otherwise boundaries. So maybe it's school and out of school, maybe it's institutions being able to talk to each other, but it seems to share this really powerful, it seems to provide a very powerful vocabulary, I'm noticing, to really talk across. So I'm very excited that the work is rolling out this way and that we can continue to sort of develop this work in our own context.
Definitely. And speaking of Philadelphia, you're going to have to fill me in on something that sounds so cool, explaining how equity ties into connected learning, but with puppets.
Yes. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about this topic. It is sort of a favorite topic. Yeah, so as I work, just for context for people who are watching this, and by the way, if you are watching it, anybody who's in the lobby should post questions, because John and I will just talk until you post questions and ask, about something that you'd like to hear about. So feel free. Yes, so in Philadelphia, I work for the National Writing Project, and I'm based in Philadelphia. And previously, I've also for many years been involved with a social justice and creativity organization called Spiral Q Puppet Theater. And Spiral Q does a lot of the way I think about it is that the internet, we fight to keep the internet public and open and the open web because we know that it supports democracy and that it supports engagement and participatory work and culture and equity among people when we have these open spaces to create and make in. And then in some ways, Spiral Q's been doing the same thing on streets of Philadelphia and other places over the years with large-scale giant puppets and parades and pageants. So in some ways, like, the work feels very sort of parallel to me in that way. And they are part of the Philadelphia Youth Media Coalition, and we've been sort of with the Philadelphia Youth Media Coalition, the Philadelphia Library Learning Labs, and folks at Arcadia University and University of Pennsylvania, and I don't know, Bartol Foundation. There's a lot of people in town who are talking about connected learning, looking at connected learning, and the Philadelphia Writing Project, I should say, too. And And so so Spiral Q decided that they wanted to have a gathering to really talk about this, like bring some of the folks together. What are we learning? Spiral Q is very much committed to justice and equity in their work, so they were interested in forefronting the equity question, and really, like, how do we really create equitable connected learning environments? And I think I said that I've been a long-term volunteer there, and I was a previous board member there, so I suppose I've had some influence on that. But yeah, I'm really excited, and I think that it brings that sort of like the analog and the digital and together in a way that I think is sort of what Bud and Nicole were talking about earlier. That it's not really like the technology helps us to extend things, but we also have connected learning work that we need to do in our analog environments and on our public streets and our public parks and our public spaces and within our own communities.
Totally, and I love that offline approach, because I know it's so often we focus a lot on technology because a lot of us run within the education technology circle and industry and have a lot of friends or peers who are teachers who are getting technology constantly pushed on them at their own schools to make that part of their practice. And I think one of the things I appreciate the most about connected learning as opposed to some of the other approaches out there is that it's not tied to like one particular form of technology or a particular platform or a particular type of digital media. There are a lot of examples out there where just doing hands-on learning in a makerspace with arts and crafts can be part of a connected learning process. It doesn't necessarily have to be tied to either the internet or digital media, but if you do incorporate digital media, the internet, new technology, it just makes it that much more powerful.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I mean, it's been interesting, because I think that when we look at the connected learning design and principles as within our own network, within the Writing Project Network, as educators, I feel like a lot of people recognize them. They recognize them as really good pedagogical practices, the things that they got them into teaching in the first place, the things that they're interested in. John Seeley Brown has talked about how, in some ways, the work really links back to John Dewey and Marie Montessori, and so there's a long history of this work. Yet and I think actually Jeff Brazil said this, right, that one of the big distinctions is the fact that we actually have these open connected networks now too. So those networks are, like the online networkedness of this is really different, and it really pushes us all to think differently. So I would say even for Spiral Q and groups that are working in analog ways for or even digitally mediated ways, like at the Youth Media Coalition, I think people have been working in these ways, but thinking about connections anew in our given world, is sort of a new question for everybody to wrap their heads around. And I think it's not the only new question. I think there's actually many new questions, but I think it is a really interesting one. But I do think we also know a lot about how to connect, through, I think, organizing and arts and social justice work and teaching and learning work over time. I think there's a lot of stuff to draw on to say, oh, okay, remember these things that we knew. How do we bring that into what's happening today? So I feel like, it's exciting in that way, but I do think it pushes all of us, wherever we start. I feel like it pushes us.
Totally understandable, and I really loved Antero's little quotable during our intro here. There's no single right way, and he was using this specifically talking about the classroom. There's no single right way to do connected learning.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, because you can have so many different organizations, projects adopting the actual principles behind it, but executing it in such different ways, and it really is about trying to fit it into your existing practice rather than for example my girlfriend is a public high school teacher, English, and she's experimenting with the flipped classroom model right now. And that's definitely a cool approach, but if that's not something you're already doing, that's kind of a heavy lift to try and wrap your entire curriculum around. So I think this approach is more about figuring out what's already working for you and then applying principles to just make it more powerful.
Yeah. I think that, first of all, I just want to say that your girlfriend should share what she's learning and thinking about it. Digital is.
Yes, she should.
So, and actually we just updated the ways to participate page, so I'm going to post that in the unHangout space, because I really do want to encourage, because I think you're really right, that, it's a big, these shifts are big shifts. They're really, they're complicated, they really require you to sort of unlearn as well as learn. It's like that I forget whose description this is, but you have the cup and you have to actually unlearn some stuff so that more can be learned. So it's like that process is very personal, but then it's also communal, and we all have to sort of learn it in our own context and then share across. So so yes, so I, not to add one more thing to her list, but I think digital is one way to help with some of those transitions that are really complicated, because you have your experience in your place and someone else has their experience in their place. But yeah, they're deep transitions, I think. So, and I think it's important. What I love about the CLA's work actually is that it honors the depth of those transitions. And I find that as among the CLA community in general. And I think that, that's one of the reasons why I was so excited about the new eBook, because I think it is, one of those spaces where this work is being honored.
Mm-hmm. And with the ebook and with Digital Is, with Educator Innovator, with the growing connected learning community, it's all pointing to this big, light bulb moment, I think, for people who are coming in to those places for the first time. Like, you are not alone. You're not the only one having to deal with these struggles. You might be, if you're kind of on the cutting edge within your own school, you might be the only one physically at your school who is trying these things out, having these challenges, but with an online community, you can actually make connections to people who are in the same exact boat as you or who have already kind of been down that path before, and I think that's really powerful. Yeah. And I know that's one of the things that the Alliance is trying to do as well, is continue to build those pathways between all these different groups out there, as opposed to having all these different siloed conversations or siloed places where people are learning together, and try and bring that all into either one central place or an easier to find place with, for example, like the connected learning hashtag, have that be a place where that can be, professional development as well.
Right.
But I just love that spirit behind it of we're all in this together, and pretty much everyone is okay with failing as long as we learn something and moving on from it. And I think everyone is kind of the same spirit there.
Yeah, that's great. I did send a 5-minute warning to everyone, John, about 2 minutes ago, so just to let you know that. And and then I'll get ready to send the unHangout link to everybody, right?
That's right.
Okay, and then you'll invite everybody back into this thing for our debrief, right?
Let's see. How will we get everyone back in? That's a good question. I'll ping Nicole real quick and make sure that she can back me up on the invite back to our guest speakers.
Great. And if anybody's listening to us in the lobby right now, I see Erica Q joined us at one point, so hello, Erica. What we're getting ready to do now is to we'll wrap up the conversations that are happening in the small groups, and then we're going to invite the facilitators back into this lobby area so that they can report out from the small groups and we get a sense of what everybody talked about. And if you're in the lobby now, feel free to add questions to the chat, because we can also continue to address those, or start your own discussion in the chat. We'll be back into the lobby in a few minutes. I'm going to take a moment now and invite I'm going to send a 2-minute warning now. Okay, so everybody in the small groups should have just gotten a message to invite them back here well, I invited them to wrap up their conversation in the next 2 minutes, so we should see people coming back, and to join us back here in the lobby of this unHangout.
Perfect.
So John, while we're waiting for them to come back, do you want to just say again where people can find out more about the Connected Learning Alliance?
Sure. I also plugged it into the lobby chat there.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
But no problem. I have no problem saying those things over again, because we need as much help as we can get. The Connected Learning Alliance website is clalliance.org. And if you go there right now, it's a splash page until tomorrow, and it's going to be a full-blown website. And on Twitter, we are at the CL Alliance. And once the website is up tomorrow, you'll see a whole bunch of different places you can connect with us. We actually just launched an iTunes podcast today. That's going to include both the Connected Learning TV webinar series in audio form, and also this 30-day campaign that's starting tomorrow that we're calling Make Learning Relevant. And that's going to be all these different interviews with people like Connie Yao, Kathy Davidson, Mark Sermon, Sam Dyson from the Hive, a bunch of different people who are either involved in the Connected Learning Alliance or practicing it or supporting it or aligned with it.
Oh, really exciting. I'm thrilled to see this kicking off.
Yeah, and you'll have to keep certain watch on a couple of them that Paul did for us.
Oh, great.
So we'll let you know when those go out.
Great, great, great. All right. So Paul, as in Paul O, the National Writing Project, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to send another message. And I see people moving out of their small rooms.
Always hard to tear people away from those conversations.
Sure. Janelle's back in the lobby. Hi, Cindy.
Hello. Is this where we're supposed to be?
This is exactly where it's supposed to
be. Yay! Janelle's coming soon.
And we're live.
Oh, so okay.
You know that. You can say hi as you log in. Hi, bud.
Hi, bud.
Hello.
We just for everybody's information, we decided to keep the main webinar going while you guys were all in the small rooms, and John and I talked a bit about the Connected Learning Alliance, which is great. And so we're still live here, so thanks for coming back. And I was telling people in the lobby who might still be listening, Shristi says we had a great time in Breakout 3, so I'm really excited to hear about that. So I was telling people in the lobby that they can raise any questions that they'd want us to talk about. Our goal here as we come back into the main Hangout is to share what happened in the small groups. Since we couldn't all be in the small groups, we want to do a little share out. But we want to encourage, I would encourage anybody who's in the lobby to also share out. You can post in the chat. And if someone doesn't share out one of the things that you thought was really salient or an idea you'd like to share with everyone, please do that. Yes, sorry, Bud. I'm sure that the conversations were just getting going while you guys, when we had to break up, right? So maybe next time we should do a longer unHangout, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think one of the things that's weird about the fast-paced nature of a webinar is oftentimes you have a set thing you want to talk about, and you know who you're going to talk with, and this model breaks that a little bit, and,
yeah.
And I think it takes a little while for folks to get comfortable or aware or in that mode of sharing. So it's always weird and awkward in that delightful first date sense of to figure out how to have a conversation when it's different from the expected webinar sort of sit and get. Which is actually one of the things we were talking about. You know, how do you perpetuate a conversation in an online network, particularly when you're synchronous? Okay,
cool. So yeah, that's a great thing to keep in mind next time. I hear someone's overhead speakers, which is good. Is that you, Janelle?
Yeah, it's over now. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I remember on one of the webinars, I believe it was I can believe it was Minu. Minu's, both, just for people who are listening, Janelle had her students, some of her students joined us. Actually, I wrote down their names. Carlos, Jacob, Johanna, and Taylor joined us from New Tech in Coppell, Texas. Or Coppell, Texas, sorry.
Yes.
And then on another webinar, you'll see that Reggie, Wynn, and Brianna joined us from Science Leadership Academy in Philadelphia. And Antero made the point that it was interesting, you could hear the school in the background as the webinar was happening, and how, you know, it's important that we have these sort of overlapping spaces that we exist in, and you could really hear it on the webinar, which was great, actually. So are we waiting for, I guess the only other person, Antero probably isn't coming back at this point. So Nicole, do we have everybody? We might.
Yep, I think we're all back.
Yay. Okay, great. Well, thank you. So we're going to just give a little debrief of what happened in your rooms. I'm looking at the time, and we have 13 minutes before the end of the webinar. So I would say if we take the next 10 minutes, and then we can do some final thoughts and wrap up. And Bud, you're the one all the way to the left on my screen. So do Bud and Jason want to start and give us a little report from your breakout group?
Sure, go for it, Jason. I got your back.
Great, thanks, Bud. Yeah, as Bud already mentioned, you know, one of the things we discussed was, you know, how do you encourage people to interact with others online if maybe that's something that they're not used to doing, or something that, well, the specific question was, maybe that's something that culturally you're not comfortable doing. So we had an interesting conversation around that. And we talked a little bit about, you know, ways that technology enables you to interact with people that you might not normally interact with, and Bud gave some good examples of that. In some cases, that's the only way that you interact with these other people, even if they're local. Bud, did you want to jump in and maybe mention a couple other things that we discussed?
Yeah, we saw a couple of good resources. I hope you grabbed the chat, because I did not, but I have a couple of links up. Really, again, I think that, you know, we're talking about networks, and this was an opportunity to form a node for a few minutes, and I think it would have been cool to see that expand, and I suspect we would have gotten even richer conversation had we a little more time. But a nice start to thinking about networks and also the role of folks who aren't yet connected to them and where and how they might start and for what purposes.
Great, super, thank you. And it looks like we're not sure if people in the lobby can hear us right now, so Nicole or John's working on that right now, but we should keep going, and this is being recorded, so if people are missing us, we can do a full report out in another form too. So why don't, let's see, Cindy, you are next on my screen, so Cindy and Janelle, do you guys want to give a report out? And thank you, Jason and Bud.
Janelle, you want to do it?
Yeah, sure. We did a review over the principles of connected learning, and then one of Cindy's students was there, and James, and he was asking about, how realistic is it to have all 6 of the principles represented in a single lesson? Like, what is the goal with this? And I think it's important to remember that these principles should guide us, but shouldn't, just be like, okay, like a checklist. It should be definitely something that we want to incorporate elements in, and as we work on really careful and purposeful design of our learning experiences, that we begin to include structures that will encourage more of these principles to be present in the learning and in the experience. So we talked a little bit also about our experiences with the Do Now and how that has really enabled us to get a lot of those principles in the classroom on a daily basis, and how it's important to advocate to be able to use social media and advocate to get connectivity and things like that in the classroom so these rich learning experiences can happen. Anything else, Cindy?
I don't think so. You did a great job.
Yeah, thanks. Best unHangout ever.
I was going to put a link to, and maybe Janelle, you want to in the lobby unHangout to the Do Now, just so if people don't know that. That would be great to share that. And
Christina, we put a couple of links in our chat. One was to Do Now. The other one was to that FAQ page on the Connected Learning site that Danielle, you had shared in a Facebook post, actually, that just provides some nice reminder of the 6 principles of connected learning, and then also has some answers to frequently asked questions, like the ones James posed. One of the things he asked about was, what do you do if you don't have connectivity or widely available technology in your school? And that's a really great page that addresses some of those issues.
Great, super. If you have the Hangout lobby too, if you want to post that link there, that would be great. Thank you. Super. And Nicole and Danielle, do you want to go ahead?
Go for it, Danielle.
There was a lot discussed, but I think I'd like to highlight something that one of Ontario's students said that was really powerful. That's my word of the day, by the way, powerful. She said, we started talking about representations in novels, representations of gender and sexuality, and one of Ontario's students began to touch on this idea of, like, how do we select, what we ask students to read? And I'm reading right here. What are they teaching the young adult? She asked, what are we teaching the young adult readers? If there are things that need to be changed, what should be changed? The reason why we need to change what we're offering up to students is that oftentimes what they're reading influences how they see themselves in the future, as well as what they decide to read in the future. And so that really stood out to me because, in talking about making these connections between community and classroom, and thinking about this idea that literacy is attached to agency, and really capitalizing on that, whether it be through discussion, whether it be interrogating dystopic novels, which we spend a lot of time talking about, whether it be building projects out. I thought it was really, really insightful for I wish I knew her name, I forgot. You know, I thought it was really insightful for her to just recognize that, like, students see themselves in books, and their futures sometimes, you know, depend on their relationship with literacy, and thinking about ways that we can use that potential as a way to bridge the gap between community and classroom. So, Nicole, I don't know if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, just generally, I think it really starts a great conversation for all educators about how we can find lots of different entry points in our curriculum, no matter what we teach, whether it's English and we're teaching literature, or history or science or math or any elective. There's always an entry point to having these conversations, because our content areas are the stuff of real life, and our students have questions about the world that they're growing up in and the world that they're becoming adults within. So I think it's really powerful moving forward, and I'm excited to keep that conversation going about how do we start from where students are and use our content to always bring it back to authentic, meaningful, real-world connections.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you. And I'm wondering if we have a few minutes here, and you know, we've talked about networks and networking, whether that's, you know, up close or far away. We talked about you know, sort of that balance of connected learning and the different principles, and how do you, you know, bring those pieces in, maybe and think about them and consider them as you go along, even if they aren't all sort of immediately present. And then we talked about this sort of agency and the learning and bringing it back to our local context and really having this as an ongoing discussion. So I'm wondering if we could, you know, maybe take these next few minutes, and we could do this in a popcorn style way, just to sort of say, like, how, well, actually, we only have a couple minutes, but maybe it's just popcorn. Like, what are some suggestions moving forward that some of you might put forward, and how do we keep these discussions going? So anybody can start. I have some ideas too, but.
I'll start, because I think that with connected learning, it not only helps us as educators become better designers, but it puts the designing into the hands of our learners themselves, and that's when truly powerful learning experiences can happen, and that's what I know we really strive to do in our classroom, because it becomes really authentic, and the content becomes very meaningful to them.
Great. Any other thoughts people want to share about sort of this conversation forward?
The thing I would say, and this is a really simplistic thing to say maybe, but Twitter has been a really powerful professional learning tool for me, and it's helped me to connect with, you know, everybody on the screen, even if I'm just following them, you know, kind of creeping on them on Twitter. But it's a great way, I think, to push links out, to help us become part of a larger professional community that pushes us as literacy professionals.
Great.
And I guess I'd say, too, that I'm continually thinking about not just where I'm connecting, but who I'm connecting with and why. And the more I look, the more I realize there's a false network blindness out there, which is that I always feel like I've got, oh, I have a sense of everything. And then I meet somebody new, or I discover a new node, and I go, oh, no, I don't understand anything at all. Here's several other million people who think completely differently. So I'm 9 years into this continual process of rediscovering the world through networks like this one. So it's fascinating.
Yeah. Yes. So we are getting near the end, so I wanted to just encourage one, sort of put forward a couple of networks that we're connected to right here, as also a thank you to everyone. So thank you first to my colleagues at the National Writing Project. You all, it's where I learn, it's where we learn. I appreciate you every day in many ways. And the Writing Project is, you can learn more at nwp.org, and there are Writing Project communities around the country. And we also have robust online community too, and one of the spaces that we gather online is at nwpdigitalis.org. We encourage you to check out the eBook, all the resources there that these folks either edited or authored, and they are all gathered from the Digitalis website. So we're really interested in sending out invitations for people to publish their work, to tell us what you're thinking, share with us what you're learning in this sort of new, in the world of literacy and connected learning as it's growing and developing around us and with us all, and how we are being designers in that world. So we really would love to hear your story, hear your key questions, your inquiries about this work. And Digitalis is one place where you could publish and share. The ebook is, as I said, a range of examples from that site, and I just want to thank everybody here for both making the time that you put into that ebook, as well as be part of this Connected Learning TV series this week. Another network that we're all connected to is Connected Learning Alliance Network. It kicks off tomorrow. We invite you to check out Connected Learning Alliance, or CLAalliance.org, and John posted some links into the unHangout lobby, so you can check it out there and follow them on Twitter. And they're having a big launch tomorrow, which should be exciting to follow, and ongoing conversation and a place where we can gather and continue this work. I want to thank MIT Media Lab for the use of their unHangout tool. This tool is really great, and we constantly learn, how we can use our these new online tools in better ways by playing with them like we did today. So we really appreciate the opportunity that MIT provided for us, and particularly Shristi's help getting us started here. And I think that's it. You always start thank yous and you forgot somebody, but thank you everyone very much. We're at the top of the hour. The conversations really don't end here, and we hope that you'll continue them at Connected Learning TV hashtag, and also the Where We Learn hashtag. That's been a fun place to gather this month. So thank you very much. Actually, a bunch of you, and with Nicole's leadership, crowdsourced that hashtag, and that's been really fun to do. And huge thanks to Nicole Mira for organizing this series, and to Antero Garcia for curating the ebook in the first place. So the full archive of webinars, conversations, and resources from this past month can be found at Connected Learning TV. So I think we're done. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.